Actually, I would say I haven't seen racism this naked in several decades because it was very naked before the Civil Rights Act.
You might want to be careful because it's not just Mexicans that they are trying to deport. It's our black asses too.
Hey, shout out to all of our subscribers and members here on the channel. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. So, you remember last week when Trump suspended all DEI in the federal government? No. Hey, Target. No, I'm not even talking about you, Target. But what's wrong with you anyway? After all we've done for you, you had almost made it to the cookout. We knew Walmart wasn't coming. President Trump protects civil rights and merit-based opportunity by ending illegal DEI, terminating diversity, equity, and inclusion discrimination in the federal workforce and in federal contracting and spending. Federal hiring, promotions, and performance reviews will reward individual initiative, skills, performance, and hard work, and not under any circumstance DEI-related factors, goals, policies, mandates, or requirements. Now, did it say anything about Secretary of Defense? Because they were talking about DEI, right? Merit-based, right? They were talking about merit-based. Yes, you are correct, Monty Hall. The black guy had to be a brigade commander, division commander, corps commander, multinational corps commander, United States Forces commander, vice chief of staff of the Army, United States Central Commander, get awarded the Silver Star, and be a 4-star general to even be considered for the Secretary of Defense. Meanwhile, the other guy just had to be in the Army. And mind you, Monty, I would add that he is only a political leaning away from being called a DEI. But I digress. I almost dropped a video specifically about that, but I was influenced by a number of different things that I saw asserting that even though diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are going by the wayside in the federal government, they are still prohibited from discriminating by virtue of our civil rights. Let's put a pin in that. So, in moving forward, I happen to see this. The Laken Riley Act, and those of you who don't know Laken Riley, she was a student at Augusta University College of Nursing when she went out for a run in February of 2024. Prosecutors said she encountered Jose Ibarra, who killed her during a struggle. Ibarra waived his right to a jury trial and was found guilty in November, and he was sentenced to life without parole. Now, you may also know Laken Riley as the woman whose family MAGA won't respect.
I feel like she's being used somewhat politically.
How do you feel about that?
It makes me angry. She was much better than that. She should be raised up for the person that she is.
Well, now we get the Laken Riley law, where federal officials would be required to detain any migrant arrested or charged with crimes like shoplifting or assaulting a police officer or crimes that injure or kill someone.
This bill would make it mandatory to detain any undocumented immigrant who is arrested for theft. That includes burglary, larceny, shoplifting. It also would allow states, attorneys general primarily, to sue over federal immigration policy. That would completely change federal law, and it's not completely clear how the constitutional boundaries would work there. Because it needs 60 votes in the Senate, it needs Democratic support. But look at these 8 Democratic senators that we're watching in particular. There are ardent opponents who say it goes way too far, that it could lead to mass sweeping deportations of people for shoplifting. It has due process concerns, they say.
And here's what that means.
Okay, you know, under our current U.S. immigration laws, that we can deport people who've committed crimes or not. The Laken Riley Act is actually not going to do anything to solve this problem. What it does allow is them to arrest people and detain them for minor shoplifting. So we'll get a flood or an influx of people. They're saying about 20,000 people that need to be detained inside of our system. This will divert manpower away from the people who commit these serious crimes. So in actuality, what you're going to see is a decrease in people being arrested for violent crimes and an increase of people being arrested for petty crimes. It also makes way for legal migrants to be deported, and that's without due process. It just gives way for mass deportations. I mean, listen, everybody here wants to protect U.S. citizens. Nobody wants to see U.S. citizens unalived, whether it's by fellow Americans, undocumented, documented, people visiting, people here on a visa. But the sole purpose of this bill is just mass deportations without due process. Now, I'm just waiting for you guys to, take up some sort of, pew-pew reform. Show as much of excitement and gusto of protecting children in schools. I'll be waiting for those bills.
I thought this was pretty ironic myself because I wondered in the aftermath of the election, seeing how strong the voting bloc of Latinos, specifically Latino men, were for Donald Trump, how aggressively he would move for deportation. And now we see, and yes, you are correct, it is ironic that they helped deliver Trump the White House, and his first move was letting police discriminate against them. The finding out phase has indeed commenced. And I believe AOC said it best.
Mr. Speaker, I want the American people to know with eyes wide open what is inside this bill. Because we stand here just 2 days after President Trump gave unconditional pardons to violent criminals who attacked our nation's capital on January 6th. And these are the people who want you to believe, who want us to believe that they're trying to, quote unquote, keep criminals off the streets. When they are opening the floodgates.
Oh, yeah, I know. I felt a whole lot safer with, everybody from J6 out on the streets. Yeah. Like even those accused of violence. I definitely felt a whole lot safer. Hard to make that argument now, isn't it? I mean, Comer tried, though. When your best justification is, well, he said he was going to do it, we know you have none.
I want the American people to know what is in this bill. Because in the guise and in the wake of tragedy, we are seeing a fundamental erosion of our civil rights. In this bill, if a person is so much as accused of a crime, if someone wants to point a finger and accuse someone of shoplifting, they will be rounded up and put into a private detention camp and sent out for deportation without a day in court, without a moment to assert their right and without a moment to assert the privilege of innocent until proven guilty. Without being found guilty of a crime, they will be rounded up. That is what is inside this bill, a fundamental suspension of a core American value. And that is why I rise to oppose it. If you're a dreamer, all someone has to do is point a finger and you will be rounded up. And we have seen moments like these happen before. In the Patriot Act, in the wake of the travesty of 9/11, a fundamental suspension of American civil liberties. That is what we are seeing here today. Mr. Speaker, you may wonder why so many of our friends across the aisle who care so deeply about the rule of law happen to be so desperate to pass this bill after they are unleashing people who attacked police officers here on this Capitol into roaming our streets, who are publicly saying now they want to get a gun. Suddenly, these folks care about public safety? I don't think so.
And by the way, even can come back into D.C. and onto Capitol grounds, like literally fully reinstated with one hand, while on the other hand, passing the we can round them up and deport them for being accused of shoplifting. I have not seen racism this naked. Actually, I would say I haven't seen racism this naked in several decades, because it was very naked before the Civil Rights Act. Very naked. Apparently that's where they want to go back to. We're getting there.
Look no further than the price tag of this bill, $83 billion. They know that it can't be paid for. They know that the capacity is not there. And you know what will be there? Private prison companies are going to get flooded with money, who give this money, no doubt. I want folks at home to look. Look at what members of Congress are invested in private prison companies who receive this kind of money, and look at the votes on this bill. It is atrocious that people are lining their pockets with private prison profits in the name of a horrific tragedy and the victim of a crime. It is shameful. It is absolutely shameful. And Mr. Speaker, I'll conclude with this. In a few months, there are members of Congress who voted for this bill who are going to pretend they didn't know about all the bad things that are going to happen because of it. So when a private prison camp opens in your town, when a dreamer...
Time has expired. I yield the gentlelady an additional 30 seconds.
So when a private prison camp opens in your town and they say, we didn't know this was going to happen, know that they did, and they voted for it. When a dreamer is disappeared from your classroom, when the President of the United States destroys what is left of the Constitution as he's announced in this attack on birthright citizenship, they will all say, we didn't know this was coming. And I want the American people to know that they did. This vote represents it. And with that, I yield back. Thank you very much.
That is AOC absolutely on fire. And shout out to Jamie Raskin for letting her land the plane on that one. Hey, Black Magas. Hey, I know you celebrating. I know you excited like you won something. I want to show you something. Yeah, you, Black MAGA.
The reason why I have a zero tolerance policy for people cheering on mass deportations is because they don't understand that ICE will discriminate against any American citizen who is not white. This is Davino Watson. He's a United States citizen who was wrongly held in immigration detention for more than 3 years. He was imprisoned for 1,273 days because ICE did not believe he was an American citizen. I recommend everyone read this article despite it being from 2018 because it's going to be more relevant than ever. It talks about more victims of these racist ICE raids. Like an American citizen landscaper who was picked up at Home Depot in the parking lot. Rialto held for days despite his son's attempt to show agents the man's U.S. passport. There was a New York resident locked up for more than 3 years fighting deportation efforts after a federal agent mistook his father for someone who wasn't a U.S. citizen. And a Rhode Island housekeeper mistakenly targeted twice, resulting in her spending a night in prison the second time, even though her husband had brought her U.S. passport to a court hearing. We've gone through just one round of Trump ICE raids, and already there's reportings of ICE picking up American citizens, wrongfully detaining them, including a United States veteran. Not only that, but they questioned the veteran's military documentation that he provided them. So it doesn't even matter that you carry documentation. If you don't look American enough to these ICE agents, which what does that even mean? We all know what that means. It means if you're not as pale as me, you will be questioned. And so will your proof of citizenship. You have to continue to tell the stories, like the story of Raymond Mattia, who was murdered by Border Patrol right outside of his house. A member of the Tohono O'odham Nation, meaning he is a Native American man. Native Americans are largely discriminated by ICE. We all understand why. No one is illegal on stolen land.
Oh, I'm not done. I'm not done, Black MAGA. So you remember how you told me about how my civil rights were still going to be protected? Remember how you said that my rights supersede any of the executive orders? You remember that?
The Justice Department just shut down their Civil Rights Division, which is what holds police accountable when they violate rights in arresting people. So essentially what that means is they can arrest you for no reason, like they always do. But now there's no recourse for us. We no longer have any civil rights. They don't have to respect our civil rights because we can just sit in jail with no charges and no due process and just rot away. Because you don't have a right to privacy anymore. You don't have a right to free speech anymore. You don't have a right to a trial, to be represented by an attorney. You don't have a right to speak to an attorney. You don't have a right to remain silent anymore. You now are probably going to be forced to incriminate yourself. And if you don't, they can beat you. Which they can do anyway, but at least before we were able to, file a lawsuit against them if they did that. Not anymore. The Justice Department made goddamn sure of that. No more civil rights. And they're shutting down government websites to control the dissemination of information. This app clearly is being censored. They're going to go after the media next. This is a tale as old as shit. And it's playing out exactly like we've seen it play out before. If anyone's a student of history at all. We've seen this before.
Yesterday on my live, I said this. The Department of Labor is not going to be instructed to inspect what they expect. This is what Trump and them did today. I told you. But civil rights without anybody enforcing those rights are mute. Let me say that again. Civil rights without anybody enforcing those rights are mute. So what we have in America today is a Justice Department that's now led by an individual picked by Donald Trump that has already canceled or paused all current civil rights investigations. That's number one. So if you roll back any piece of civil rights protection, that means that the Justice Department that Black people would go to or a marginalized group would go to is not going to respond in the same ways that it would in the past. Let me say that again. The Department of Labor is not going to be instructed to inspect what they expect. So if we expect civil rights, there is no longer going to be people in the Department of Labor inspecting the expectation that contractors do right by the people when they hire them, or that they are equitable in their hiring, that they are just in their hiring practices, that they are sharing promotions, that they are notifying you that job opportunities come available, that they are hiring according to the practices that the government hires with, right? But if nobody's making those reports come in, if nobody's checking to ensure, will they do it? If the Justice Department is not going to take in civil rights investigations, will you have a cry if something happens wrong? No, you will not.
No, I'm not done. I'm not done. So actually, I had mentioned that the pardoning of the J6 defendants, that wasn't all that was pardoned.
To my brothers who look like me and voted for Trump, yep, and some sisters too, do y'all know who else he pardoned? He pardoned 2 D.C. officers that were convicted of a death and for trying to cover it up. Come on now, my brothers and sisters. Y'all know damn well those 2 police officers, they didn't look like us. Around 5 months after George Floyd passed away, in October of 2020 in D.C., a 20-year-old kid named Karan Hilton Brown was riding a moped. They illegally chased him at unreasonable speed, and then after chasing him for 10 blocks, they trapped him in a narrow alley, and another car struck him. Now, as he was laying there fighting for his life, those 2 officers conspired with each other to cover up their damn crime. The jury said that those 2 officers caused Karan's death. Trump said that they were put in jail because they went after an illegal. Karan wasn't illegal. Karan was from here, America. Even though those officers tried to cover up Karan's death, Trump didn't give a damn. To my people who voted for Trump screaming, we need to get Mexicans out of here. Well, let me tell y'all asses something. Trump knew Karan was Black. So what does that tell y'all asses? You might want to be careful, because it's not just Mexicans that they are trying to deport. It's our Black asses too. Since that man took office, he has done everything in his power to end civil rights. Your civil rights. That is what the hell y'all voted for. To have your damn rights snatched away from your ass. Well, let's just hope we don't have to start carrying papers for us, master. Y'all know I already digress.
So black MAGA, black conservatives, I'm just trying to make sure y'all cool with all of this, right? That this is what y'all wanted. Y'all still good. You still celebrating, partying. It's still festive over there. Is this what y'all wanted, huh? This is what y'all asked for. And no, I'm not done.
Breaking news, it sounds like Trump wants to get rid of Black History Month. Mark Zaid is a prominent D.C. attorney. He said CIA employees were told all resource and affinity groups are canceled. No Black History Month or MLK celebration or any other ethnic recognition months. The erasure of Black History Month at the federal level feels like a gut punch. The whole point of the month was to remind Americans, both white and black, that Black history is a critical part of American history. But this is an administration that's barely a week old, and already they want to freeze all civil rights cases, get rid of DEI. And there's another thing. Zaid said, yeah, Trump is declassifying files about Dr. King, but you should watch out for what we're about to learn. As I've been saying, what will be new in the MLK release will be salacious info, possibly even recordings of illicit affairs and interactions. Not sure why Trump feels the need to attack Dr. King at this time to try to change his legacy or his image. It feels like the racism we expected from Trumpy. It feels like an attack on being black in America.
Now, I mentioned earlier, I hadn't seen racism this naked in decades. But that applies to a great many people. And that is one of the reasons why I have such a hard time moving forward with the assertions, well, we just voted for the economy and we didn't trust Kamala and this, that, and the other thing. When these are all things that had been placed on the table pre-election, you knew this was a possibility. What I also don't understand is why, in the same way as we know that in the fervor to find illegals, there will be legals. In the fervor to find non-citizens, there will be citizens. I'm trying to figure out, in the same way that you have seen so many in the Latino community find out when they had put their trust in Trump, you have seen so many in the black community find out when they have put their trust in Trump. Why so many of you feel so secure in yourselves?
I just have a quick question for you people that voted for Trump. Because the economy and everything is so expensive. But ever since he's been in office, he has done everything other than bring the prices down. And now, as of today, you put a pause on the Civil Rights Division. And I just want somebody to answer me, how does taking away my civil rights put money into your pocket? How does making it so people are able to discriminate against me for no other reason than my skin color bring the cost of eggs down? How does it bring all of the complaints, that the BS complaints that you said? How is me losing my civil rights make it affordable for you? I really need somebody to answer that question. And I know you're not going to be able to, because you know it was never about the cost of eggs to begin with. You know it was never about the unaffordability of life. It was just, you couldn't stand seeing so many black and brown people being able to make it, that you feel like if everything is stripped from us, then it should be easier for you now, right? Just be honest. It is what it is. He's here. He ain't going nowhere. So just be honest. You were that bothered by black and brown people being able to thrive in this country that the thought of them being deported and the Black people who was here, the civil rights, being stripped away, it just brings you glee. It just makes you sleep better at night. It has nothing to do. You're still going to be in your trailer home. You're still going to have hot ass eggs, but you'll be able to sleep better knowing that we're not going to be able to succeed. At least that's what you think. At least that's what you think. And I just want to once again give a big FU to every last one of y'all who voted for him. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to go through my list of followers and the people I know in real life who I know for a fact really did vote for Trump. And up until this point, I've just, let you hang around. I'm too violated feeling to allow you to be able to monitor and watch me while my civil rights are being stripped away left and right. Yeah.
Yet somehow, apparently, despite all of this information that you have received, there is still an imaginary line for a great many of us that they can draw and say, but not me. And that is why I'm troubled. Hey, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. First of all, thanks to an overwhelming response when I asked whether or not you guys would want to potentially move my weekly Tuesday 2 p.m. live tonight. You guys said you did. We tried it last week and it was amazing. So we're going to keep that going for the next week or two. So look for those Tuesday lives to be at night, probably 8 o'clock. There'll also be some members only lives as well. I tried that and lo and behold, I can just go live anytime. That is spectacular. So look for some members only lives as well as some polls on that side of things as well. I also have a brand new email for you that is admin@reesewaters.com. Just in case you want a quick response, you can email admin@reesewaters.com and I can pretty much guarantee it will be quicker. It will be quicker than the other one. We also have a bunch of merch ideas that you guys have sent in. Some of them are phenomenal. So we went and got some people to help us with the merch. So I'm really excited about some of the stuff that we have on the horizon. You can check all of that out at reesewaters.com. Also, shout out to the new subscribers and members here on the channel, as well as those that have been helping me out. That is Regina, who's been helping me out immensely with research, and our moderators, Mariana and Dank, as well as our head moderator, Miss Ray. I'm extremely grateful for you guys. A whole lot more to come.